1 per 7 seconds. And so dividing 7 is such a horrible number to divide with, since it's a large prime number and a very unusual prime number as well. Well, 13 would be even worse. But enough about that. It would be apparently 1 copper per every 2 seconds, which is half of 1 per second, and in this case close to 3 iron per second. And this is similar, but slower, so it requires less. And I probably shouldn't even think about that until... Actually, no, we will need to expand mining operations dramatically soon, so that will need to be factored. And so this will be feed rate of 6, or approximately 6 iron per second and 1 copper per second. And so this was what was necessary for I think 4 iron per second. 6 would be this plus 6 more smelters, which would be to approximately here. And it does appear that we will need more stone for producing these refineries. Once we have steel furnaces, we can literally half the number of furnaces we're using. And the amount of space that will make will be extraordinary. The calculation said 1 copper per second. That's just this again. And now you can see why copper is so little of a priority in most cases. Because it's used less than iron by orders of magnitude. And the disparity only becomes more apparent as time progresses. The requisite 6, or close to 6 actually. If we were to perform these calculations accurately, it would be a very small difference. And I consider it too small to be worth considering. To expend such extra effort for so little. Imagine you could be spending minutes performing those calculations that could be spent actually assembling the machines. I can't help but to feel that this is quite crude and primitive. Electric smelters will help with that. And so, as before, these are only required for making cables, which can be done immediately. And those are only required for making circuits, which can be done immediately after this juncture. The range of these wooden power poles is disturbing. And those are routed to the end processors. The gears will also need to be routed similarly. And in this case, we have 3 components, which all need to be routed to each, which would imply that we need a solution of this. If we don't want to use long-armed inserters, which I don't because they're extremely infuriating to me, don't ask why. Instead, we could use splitters and bridges. If there's anything I don't want to do, it's use those long inserters. Too far. This will need to be more compact. Fortunately, we only have 2 end processors here, and so we only require one of these special mechanisms for subverting the need for long inserters, which I find necessary. And now this process is complete, and the hunger for fast inserters is growing rapidly. We don't have the technology for that yet. Where is it? There. And it requires only this, which requires science, which can be produced immediately. And I can run a sub-bus branch through this alley I intentionally devised for this purpose to science production, which would be here, which would route to the science facility, which would be there. Since we are turning this here, there will be no production branches here. In fact, this entire area can be science. And now I don't need to manually craft these. They should be limited so that they don't get out of control either, like some kind of malignant growth. Almost a perfect analogy. And as for you, I'll be requiring more of these now, which are not producing at full capacity because of the shortage of iron, which I can fix now because I am automatically producing mining drills. It irritates me when these bridges are not fully utilized. In fact, it would be a disrespect to them to only utilize them partially. And now that's better. And I can already see the results here. This will probably be... Wait, what's the throughput rate of a belt? 15 items per second. That's on both lanes. Half of that would be 7.5 items per second, which... I think should be enough for something like this, which only requires 6 per second of iron. Or theoretically, I'm not sure. It would appear that at somewhere slightly above half capacity of input, this is slightly above half utilized, which would be mathematically correct. Now that all of those are automated, we can focus on enhancement of other things. Science particularly will be a problem if not solved soon. This lane only has space for 2 belts if I don't move this. Now it's fixed. And if I were to perform the calculations, each one of these lanes would then have a throughput of 60 items per second, which can then be doubled later with advanced technology to 120 and then I think 240. Very useful anti-prime numbers. And of course, later robots will help. And now we can continue this. Oh, look at this, already being irritating for for no rational reason.